Hi, and welcome to this video. Before I get started with the topic, if you are enjoying the videos on this channel, if they're helping you as a public speaker, please do subscribe to our channel. And as we produce new videos, you'll be alerted to them so that you can come and watch them. And secondly, please leave comments and questions. The questions help us to know what other videos might be needed, and we would certainly love to have conversations with you on the channel. So please do not hesitate to do that if you so desire. Now, on to our topic. When I talk to people who've come into Toastmasters, or if I talk to people who are trying to get better at public speaking, the one thing that I find, or one of the things that I find that they have trouble with is nervousness. Recently I was talking to someone who had done her icebreaker speech, and she had not, as of yet, started even planning for her second speech. And so I just asked her, I said, what do you think is the problem then? What do you think is blocking you? And she said, oh, it's the nerves. So we had a little conversation about that. And so what I'd like to give you today are 4 tips that I think can help you when it comes to managing the nerves, learning how to deal with it, etc. The first tip that I want to give you is that nerves are actually a good thing. Without them, you wouldn't care about your audience. And we often associate the nerves with fear, but really, you know, that will be taken care of with some other tips that I have, but over time, the more you do this, you'll find that nerves, you need a little bit of them. You need some amount of butterflies so that you will actually think ahead, you will plan your speech, you will plan what you want to say and everything, and that is actually good. Beyond that, the second tip I have for you is that nerves oftentimes have to do with the fact that we're not breathing well. One of the things that I have learned over the years is that in order to help me breathe better, I actually have to keep my mouth slightly open so that air can get in. In fact, some years ago I studied martial arts, and I found that when I was doing the fighting sequences or some of the other things that I had to do in order to test for the different belt levels, that I would close my mouth and I would hold my breath. And I think that's what happens to a lot of public speakers, especially in the beginning when you're learning how to do this, is that we get so caught up in all the other things that we forget to breathe. So, when you are in that club meeting or before you are about to go out, take some really deep breaths and keep your mouth just slightly open so that air can actually go in. And that's when you can really utilize those pauses as a place for you to actually take in air through your mouth. Not your nose, but your mouth. The third tip I have for you is that everybody has something to say. And especially people who want to get better at public speaking, they definitely, to some degree, feel like that there's something that they can say that will be of value to other people. Now, this may be a manager who has one-on-ones with individual people on his or her team, and that's a perfectly good reason to learn more about public speaking skills, because you have to think about what it is that you're going to say. You're going to have to think about the kind of feedback that you give these people, etc. And so by going to a Toastmasters club or any other area of training, you can learn how to hone your message and be able to deliver information, even if it is one-on-one. At the same time, if you're hoping to someday talk to larger groups of people, maybe fill big audiences, things like that, remember this: you have some reason why you want to do it, right? And one of the things about me in particular is that I am Southern, and I love to tell stories, and I have tons and tons and tons of stories that I tell. And the great thing about it is that all of the manuals in the Toastmaster Club give you projects, but they don't tell you what to talk about. They just give you some structural elements that they want you to practice. but you can bring anything to the table. You can talk about absolutely anything you want to. Therefore, talk about the things you love. And when you talk about the things you love, you are just then having a conversation with your audience. It's like having a good conversation with a friend over coffee. It's like, oh, I want to tell you about something that happened to me yesterday, and you just keep talking and everything, and you don't even think about nerves. And the fourth and final tip I want to give you is that when you are starting out learning the public speaking skill set, the one thing that you absolutely must do is give speeches with at some regular clip. And what I mean by that is, if you're just starting out in learning how to do this, then you would want to, especially if you're in a Toastmasters group, you should go out there and say, okay, I'm going to do my icebreaker in 4 weeks. And then 6 weeks after that, I'm going to do my speech number 3, because you don't have to do them all in order, right? And maybe 5 weeks after that, I'm going to do my project number 2. And so you get the idea, so that there's not a whole lot of downtime in between. I have done speeches, at a clip that's way faster than probably anybody should. I have done some, back-to-back weeks where I get some speeches done, and I don't recommend that necessarily. However, going 6 months in between is really too long, especially in the beginning, because you'll get nervous. You'll get a lot more nervous. So the 10 speeches in the Competent Communicator Manual, you should do them as quickly as you possibly can, within a year, year and a half, maybe 2 years maximum, to where you have some regularity to doing it. Because it's in the doing it that you're going to realize that the nerves really don't matter. Okay? So I hope today that I have given you some great tips on how to learn how to make friends with those nerves, because they actually are one of your best allies when it comes to public speaking. And again, if you have questions about this video, please post them below, and we would love to have you subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for your time today, and we'll be talking to you again on a future video. Thank you.